The Twins finished their last homestand with a 3-game sweep. They're hoping to start this homestand with a 3-game sweep over the Chicago Cubs. And welcome indoors, Bert Blythe and Dick Bramer. Another Twins telecast coming your way on My 29. And what we've seen, Bert, from the Twins at home here, are the signs of a very, very good baseball team.
Well, you know what, Dick? For the first time this season, the Twins are 3 games over 500. Yes, they had coming off a very good road trip where they were 5-1. But you have to win at home, and that's the Twins have been able to do that so far this year. 23-10, scoring a lot of runs here at the Metrodome for a very good pitching staff now.
The young guys are excelling right now, so the future looks good for the Twins. And today, a nod to the past. The first American League MVP to wear a Twins uniform, Zoilo Versailles, is going into the Twins Hall of Fame.
Yeah, the American League MVP back in 1965. Myself, part of this group, very, very happy that Zoilo Versailles is added to the Twins Hall of Fame. A guy that had an outstanding World Series against the Dodgers. Just too bad the Twins lost to the Dodgers in '65.
And so the Twins playing very good baseball over the last 3-4 weeks or so. And they hope that Brad Radke will continue a run of great starts for the Minnesota Twins. He'll make the start this afternoon as the Twins hope to complete a sweep over the Cubs. Justin Morneau and the Twins hitters hoping to have some fun this afternoon as well.
Welcome back to Twins baseball on My 29 as the Twins look to complete their sweep of the Chicago Cubs. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Rich. And after scoring just 1 run in the first 2 games of this series, the Cubs are getting serious today as they've brought back a big bat in their lineup. Derek Lee is back, last year's NL batting champ. and really had ridiculous numbers with 46 homers and 107 RBI. Now he's coming back after fracturing his right wrist on April 19th. He's had only one game of rehab with the Iowa Cubs, but with a couple of injuries last night to the Cubs, they needed him now, so he will be in the lineup today, batting third and DHing for the Cubs. Meanwhile, Brad Radke will get the start for the Twins as he looks for win number 6. First pitch coming your way next on My 29.
WFTC is presented by Menards. Save big money at Menards. By DQ and the DQ Grill and Chill and the Caramel Chip Cheesecake Blizzard. And by your local Northland Ford dealer. And congratulations to Zoilo Versalles and his family. Zoilo, the 1965 American League MVP, inducted into the Twins Hall of Fame in a pregame ceremony, the 16th member of the Twins Hall of Fame. And let's check out the batting order brought to you by Menards for Dusty Baker and the Cubs. And boy, are they glad to see Derek Lee back. His rehab stint in Des Moines lasting just one game. Juan Pierre will lead things off, then Todd Walker. Lee is back as the designated hitter. Phil Nevin, Aramis Ramirez, Jacques Jones, Matt Merton, then Nafi Perez and Henry Blanco.
And the Dairy Queen scouting report on Brad Radke making his 16th start of the year against the Cubs in his career in interleague play. 2-2 in 4 starts. Very good 3.12 ERA, and one of those wins coming against the Cubs back in 1998. Remember, that was a year that Kerry Wood came out, and everybody was talking about Kerry Wood pitching this ballgame. Well, it was Brad Radke that ended up shutting out the Cubs in that ballgame. Brad with 10 career shutouts, making his 16th start his 365th major league start.
The Twins out in the field. Brought to you by Northland Ford. Lou Ford in left field, Torii Hunter in center, Michael Kadire in right, Punto, Bartlett, Castillo, and Morneau in the infield, and a full day off, at least out of the starting lineup, for Joe Mauer with Mike Redmond doing the catching. Yeah, that Radke-Kerry Wood game, not unlike the game we had Thursday night in Houston, where all the attention was on the other starting pitcher, and the Twins starting pitcher kind of stole the show.
Yeah, Brad ended up throwing a 4-hit shutout in that ball game. That was here at the Metrodome against the Cubs. Brad, over his last 4 starts, 1 win, 1 loss. Very good 2.94 ERA. He's been pitching a lot better.
Juan Pierre takes up and away, ball 1.
Twins have done a good job with Juan Pierre, keeping him off the bases.
A bunt foul, 1-1. Pierre brought over to Chicago to ignite the offense, and he's not had the best of years, and how much of that can be attributed to the fact that the middle of the lineup has struggled in the absence of Derek Lee. Fouled back. You know, the Twins can look to the Cubs, or the Cubs can look to the Twins. Both teams, I think, have struggled at times offensively when the middle of the lineup, for one reason or the other, hasn't been productive. Now the Twins' middle of the lineup has been productive, and everything seems to be going just fine.
I mean, they all feed off each other.
Poked to center, and Pierre's aboard with a leadoff hit.
Well, as I mentioned, Brad Radke making his 16th start of the year, 86 in the 3rd innings. He's walked 24. That's high for Brad Radke. 43 strikeouts, 17 home runs allowed for Brad. And opponents hitting .344, but we've seen those numbers come down again over his last 4 starts. Very good 2.94 ERA.
Former teammate Todd Walker stands in as Chicago's second baseman this afternoon. Pierre goes in the first pitch, and it's popped foul near the Twins dugout. Punto has no play. 1 strike.
Pierre again, outstanding speed, pretty good jump right there. Maybe a hit and run, maybe a straight steal for Pierre. He has 24 of the 50 stolen bases for the Chicago Cubs. He's been caught 6 times.
You can understand the frustration for Dusty Baker and why he might want to put on the hit and run. The Cubs are struggling offensively.
Well, the Cubs are 19-8 when Pierre scores a run. So that's the importance of Pierre getting on base.
Both Bonser picked off Phil Nevin in last night's ball game. Radke trying to pitch through the first inning there. You saw Bonser there.
Poof.
Headline in one of the Chicago papers this morning: Cubs go poof against Boof. Fouled away, 2 strikes. Walker's seen himself bouncing around the batting order and in the field for the Cubs. Here's the Nissan Key stat.
Well, that's not unusual for Brad Radke to give up more hits than innings pitched. It's just that Brad Radke has given up 123 hits this year in only 86 innings pitched.
Walker singles to right. Pierre will hold up at second base.
Radke last year, for example, pitched 200 innings, gave up 214 hits, but just too many hits off of Brad Radke so far this year.
The Cub fans have had precious little to cheer about here in this series, and so they'll cheer for the return of Derek Lee. A 1-game rehab stint with the Iowa Oaks, and in a sense, his activation today kind of symbolizes the way the season's gone for the Cubs. He's activated today not because he's ready, but because other players have gotten hurt.
Well, Derek Lee, Jim Ritz mentioned last year, the National League hitting champ, hitting at .335 last year.
And Radke gets ahead of him, 0-1, a broken wrist. Good numbers against the Twins, and great numbers on the year until he ran into, or Rafael Furcal ran into him and broke his wrist. 1 strike. 1-1.
Derek Lee at 6'5", 245 in his 3rd season with the Cubs. Came up with the Padres. He spent time with the Florida Marlins. Swing and a miss. 1-2. Now the Cubs on the season
are 17 games below the 500 mark. With Lee absent, they're 19 and 40, 21 games below 500.
Well, it's amazing what one guy can do in a lineup. Again, this guy hit .335, the best in the National League last year.
2-2. Radke's given up a couple of 2-strike hits here in this first inning, hoping to get rid of Lee and get through this inning.
Brad with a 4-seam fastball, a 2-seam sinking fastball, slider, curveball, and one of the game's best circle changes. There it is right there.
Big strikeout for Radke. One away. And the Twins fans out cheering the Cub fans.
All right, pulled the string right there on a changeup out over the plate. And Lee just a little bit early swings through it for Brad's first strikeout.
So one down, and here's Phil Nevin, who's had a good series. Hitting a home run on Friday and a bunch of singles last night.
Nevin coming over from the Texas Rangers in a trade during the season back on May 31st for Jerry Hairston Jr.
Just inside a ball.
Nevin 4 for 12 lifetime against Radke. Brad just trying to get through this first inning where opponents have hit .405 against Radke so far in his first 15 starts.
2-0. Nevin checked his swing. Nevin playing first base perhaps only until tomorrow when the Cubs return to Wrigley Field. Of course, they won't have a designated hitter, so if Lee's going to play tomorrow, he's going to be their first baseman. 3-0 with Aramis Ramirez on deck.
Showed you the walks of Brad Radke, 24 this year. Last year, 23 for the total season for Brad in the 200 innings pitched in 31 starts. We all know Brad struggled at the beginning of the year. He really trying to paint the corners here, as he does there with that fastball.
3-1 to Nevin.
Brad's not like Santana. He's not like Liriano, where he can rear back and challenge him with that good fastball. He'll throw that fastball, but he has to have either side of the plate. He leaves that ball over the middle part of the plate. That's where Brad Radke gets hurt. See if he can get a ground ball right here. There
right
we go.
At the second baseman. Castillo to Bartlett, double play. The Cubs' frustration continues through a scoreless first inning. seen Radke get through the top of the first inning. No score despite a couple of Chicago hits. In the Menards batting order for the Twins this afternoon: Luis Castillo, Nick Punto, Mike Redmond, Michael Kadire, Justin Morneau, Torii Hunter, Ruben Sierra getting the start in the DH spot. Then Lou Ford and Jason Bartlett, who's hit in every game since his call-up.
And the Dairy Queen scouting report on left-handed pitcher Sean Marshall making his 15th major league start in his rookie season. After spending last year mainly at the single-A level in the Chicago Cub organization. He did pitch a little bit at Double-A, but made the club out of spring training, making his 15th start. He's coming off a loss in his last outing, a win against the Cleveland Indians in his last outing, where he pitched 5 innings, 4 runs. Thing about Marshall, he'll throw a lot of pitches in a short amount of time.
And he throws a belt-high strike to Castillo.
Marshall at 6'7", 205 with a good fastball, hard slider, big curveball. That's his best pitch, and a circle change.
To center. Hit at Pierre for the first out. One gone in the bottom of the first, and the Cubs out in the field. Some former Twins out there in right field, Jock Jones, and then Pierre and Merton joining him in the outfield. Ramirez, Perez, former Twin Todd Walker at second, Phil Nevin at first, and the former Twin Henry Blanco behind the plate. One gone. Here's Nick Punto. Thinking, ball 1. Punto has become, so far, the everyday third baseman for the Twins with the release of Tony Batista. We'll have a chance next inning to talk with one of the guys that helped Punto during spring training. Rod Carew will be joining us in the second inning.
I think Gardy really liking the speed of Nick Punto. Nick has done a very good job this year of making contact, utilizing that speed, trying to get some infield base hits. Not a fly ball type hitter. We saw him hit a ball in last night's ball game deep to center field, about as far as Punto can hit a baseball. But he's a guy that, has a pretty good eye at the plate. And like Luis Castillo, trying to utilize his speed to get on base and then maybe steal some bases.
3-1 to Punto. 3-2. Well, the revamped left side of the infield has tightened things up defensively, but also brought a lot more speed to the top and bottom of the batting order, with Punto hitting second most of the time and Bartlett hitting ninth. It's down the right field line, twisting foul and into the seats. There's Bartlett, who's done a nice job hitting ninth, getting on base, and Twins have been able to run the bases a little bit more than they used to.
Sean Marshall, only 23 years old, signed by the Cubs in 2003.
Lifted to right. Jones back a few steps, and now in a few steps. 2 down.
Cubs signing Marshall out of Virginia Commonwealth University, only in his 3rd year of professional baseball, so he's gotten to the big leagues very quickly. 4.97 ERA. 36 walks in 76 innings. Again, a young man that's trying to establish himself here. Does throw a lot of pitches in a short amount of innings. 91 pitches last time against the Indians in 5 innings.
Down and away, ball 1. Redmond hitting third. Mauer, at least for the start of the game, not the catcher, not the designated hitter. Ouch. Jammed him. A little roller to short. Redmond's retired. Marshall has a 1-2-3 first inning. 1967 American League Rookie of the Year, 7-time batting champion, first and second base, and he's here with us for the series finale. Rod Carew here in part to help honor former teammate of yours, Zoilo Versalles, as the 16th member of the Twins Hall of Fame. You played with Zoilo, and tell us a little bit about him.
Well, I played with him in 1967, and I was a rookie, and he really helped me out as far as learning how to turn the double play, putting me in good position to always make first base. And Zoilo was one of the best shortstops that I'd seen during that time. I never saw a guy that could go in the hole, a shortstop that could go in the hole, backhand the ball, throw it underneath his armpit, and still throw the guy out at first base. And he just had great range, as a shortstop.
Rod, as a pitcher, my relationship with my catcher had to be very good. As a middle infielder, my goodness, your relationship with Zoilo had to be great because, it's a position that you have to know exactly where he wants to throw on a double play situation and also where you want to throw to him.
Well, and that's true, Bert, and that's why as a young player, I was fortunate to have been able to play with guys like Zoilo Versalles, Harmon Killebrew, Tony Oliva, because I learned some things from those players that really helped me, as I went along through my career. As you said, turning the double play up the middle, I had to know which side of the bag I'm going to be on, if I have to come across, if I have to lay back, and that's just learning each other as players and as middle infielders.
Right.
Zoilo passing away several years ago. His family members part of the pregame ceremony, and Zoilo was one of the original Twins in 1961. One thing I think you and he had in common, because Zoilo, his career was turned around in 1965 by Billy Martin, and I know you gave Billy an awful lot of credit for your development and maturity as well.
Well, I think Billy straightened out two of the problem kids in the Twins organization, Zoilo and myself, and we went on to do well. So, that's saying something to about Billy Martin.
Billy Martin in the Twins Hall of Fame just for doing that, right?
Definitely.
1-1 to Jacques Jones after Ramirez struck out to start this inning. And outside 2-1.
Let's talk about Nick Punto, because Dick, you mentioned about Nick Punto in his first at bat. You worked with Nick in spring training, and I know he gives you a lot of credit on just opening up his stance a little bit.
Well, when I sat him down in spring training and I told him, I said, "You're not a fly ball hitter. You want to pick this up, guys?"
Sure. Jacques Jones going into second with a double. And the throw from Torii hitting him in the leg, and Jones doubles over the first base bag.
Well, Jacques Jones getting the third hit of the ballgame off of Radke with his 13th double of the year. With one out, Jacques getting a pitch down and just hitting it past the diving Justin Morneau into the corner. And Kadir, outstanding arm, but he gets it back in as quick as he can.
That'll bring up Matt Merton. So you worked with Nick Punto about being more of a contact hitter.
Being more of a contact hitter, trying to use the whole field to hit, keeping the ball out of the air, because I told him that he has more chances of getting base hit if he keeps the ball on the ground. And with his speed, he can beat out a lot of infield hits. He can drop the ball down for base hits. And he was, very receptive and really worked at it in spring training. And I'm happy to see that he's doing as well as he's doing right now.
1-0 to Merton, and there's a strike in the outside corner.
Yeah, let it be known too. I mean, you talked to Joe Vavra, the hitting coach, long before you talked to Nick Punto, so you guys were on the same page.
Oh, definitely. I wouldn't do anything unless I, discussed it with Joe.
Right.
And Joe was very appreciative of me being there, and also trying to pick my brain and learn some things from me. And so I enjoyed the whole experience of spring training this past year.
You saw this on Friday. Merton runs very well down the line. Bartlett with a nice play in the hole, but Merton beats out an infield hit, so first and second with one away.
Nick Punto kind of giving away right here to Bartlett, because he knew if he had a chance to catch this ball, he thought that Bartlett would have a better chance of throwing out Merton, but Merton, just with his speed, just beat this out. Deep shortstop throw from Bartlett, but Merton gets to first base, and it's the fourth hit of the ballgame for the Cubs.
Neifi Perez with one out and two men on. Rod, one of the things that's keeping you busy, you had a clinic up in Fargo over the weekend. You have another one in Burnsville tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, I decided to join the staff, in doing the clinics, and maybe try to stay away from the autograph things a little bit more. I kind of enjoy teaching anyway, so it was fun working with the kids, and they had a good bunch of kids, and the staff, the guys that work for the Twins organization, really set it up so that they have different stations that they can go to. So I would just roam from station to station, and usually I ended up right back at the hitting station, which is my favorite.
Right. That never changes, does it?
Never changes.
Perez at the plate comes with another opportunity to score the first run. Well, now the thing up in Fargo, you said you had a relatively intimate group of young players, 60, something like that, you thought? Which, my goodness, and I know you've got some help with the clinics too, other instructors, but that's a great student-teacher ratio there.
It is, because you can pay a little bit better attention to what you want to try and teach these young players. And sometimes when you get too many, you feel like you're just running them through the mill, and that's no good.
Let me ask you something, Rod. You had that hitting school in Anaheim, I know, Anaheim, California, when you retired. Say a 15, 16-year-old young man comes to you, and what's the main thing? I mean, pitching, we talk about balance. What's the importance of a good hitter? I mean, to become a better hitter.
You said the key word right there. Having good balance, keeping your head still, trying to track the ball all the way into the hitting zone. If you're off balance, if your body's moving out front, your head's moving, the ball starts to have a tendency to seem like it's jumping. So you want to keep your body as still as possible so that you can track the ball. And in pitching, hitting and pitching has so much to do and has so much in common, because everything starts in the type of balance that you have. As a hitter, as a pitcher, it's the same thing, because you have to dive towards home plate to get that explosiveness through your delivery.
Punto with a foul ball catch, and out number 2. Ron, I want to talk about one guy in particular who's really turned it on here over the last few weeks for the Twins, and that's first baseman Justin Morneau. And he will talk about it. Hitting coach Joe Vavra will talk about it, how he's using his legs more. Now, you, of course, you had those powerful wrists, but, how important are the legs when it comes to hitting, not just for a power hitter like Justin, but for someone who, had a high batting average like yourself?
Well, it's very important, especially, the back leg, because the back leg is where you get the torque from. Sometimes you can keep that front leg closed off, but if you don't get that back leg through your swing and have a little bit of flexibility in your legs during the swing, then it all becomes upper body. I've really felt that using the lower half of your body, using your legs, enables you to drive the ball better to the opposite field, or drive the ball to right field, and even hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Is there a way to quicken your wrists? I mean, as far as your bat going through the strike zone.
Well, that's what the legs do. The legs help you to pick up bat speed by rotation. Just rotating your hips through your swing and your hands coming through the swing at the same time. Right, they both go hand in hand.
2 strikes to Henry Blanco as Radke tries to pitch out of a little bit of a jam again here in the second. And now 1 and 2.
Rod, I'll never forget a conversation that we had, and I think I might have mentioned it before when you did help us out do some broadcasts in Anaheim. You told me one time that at times throughout your career, you picked up the ball so quickly out of that pitcher's hand that sometimes it looked like a beach ball coming into home plate. I remember I left that conversation, I went, wow. That's
it's focus, and knowing the spot that you're looking from to try and see the ball coming out of the pitcher's hands. I never worried about anything else but the guy that was on the mound, where the ball is coming from, and really zoned in trying to see the ball. Today, more hitters are guessing more than trying to pick the ball up.
Bouncer to short. Bartlett across to Morneau, and it comes with a couple of small runs. Our thanks to Hall of Famer Rod Carew. Always good to see you, my friend. Good luck in Burnsville tomorrow.
Thank
you, Rodney.
must be a birthday right there. Several days until her birthday, but you're right, 285 until my birthday. Happy birthday to you, young man.
Here's Michael Kadire to start the second inning against Sean Marshall. Up and away, ball one. It'll be Kadire, Morneau, and Hunter trying to get the first run on the board. Cubs have had 4 hits against Brad Radke, but nothing across. And Kadire with a swing and a miss. 1-1. One and two. Dyer strikes out for the first out of the second inning.
Well, there's that strikeout pitch, that curveball. First strikeout for Marshall.
WFTC 29 dug deep inside their video vault and hauled out the best of The Simpsons. This summer, every night at 6 and 6:30, watch the best of The Simpsons. My 29 has every episode from every season, so there's something new every time you watch. The Simpsons, weeknights at 6 and 6:30 on My 29 WFTC. Here's Justin Morneau taking a strike on the outside corner. Morneau, the only left-handed batter in the lineup facing Marshall. Sometimes managers like to do that just to give the left-hander on the mound a little bit different look as he looks toward home plate. In this case, it's because Morneau's been hitting everything. Right-handers, left-handers, day, night, home, road.
Well, Marshall against left-handers this year has done an outstanding job. Left-handers hitting only 178 off of Marshall, where right-handers are hitting 261. Another good curveball right there.
1-2. Morneau flexes that right hand. A swing and a miss.
Justin hitting 241 against lefties. 5 of the 19 home runs have come off of left-handed pitchers.
2-2. Now 3-2.
Well, David Ortiz leading the American League with 66 RBIs. Vernon Wells with 62, and then you have Justin Morneau with the 61, tied with Jim Thome.
And Morneau draws a walk, first base runner for the Twins. Twins.
Been a good month for the Twins. So far in the month of June, 14-7. You look at some of the best June records. 1991, that's when they had that 15-game winning streak during that month.
Yeah, without that 15-game winning streak, they were pretty much a 500 ball club.
Go back to 63 when the Twins were 20-10.
Here's Hunter. And Torii feels it, and we'll hope it happens. It's kind of his turn to carry the club for a while. Sitting there with the RBI total in the 30s and an occasional home run, but he's about due to hit the way he did in May in that cleanup spot when he was the guy who kind of helped get things headed in the right direction. 2-0.
Again, when we see Torii Hunter start to get hot, he'll hit a lot of balls the other way, and then the mistake pitch, he'll drive out of the ballpark.
Line sharply to left for the first Twins hit, and Morneau will round second on his way to third after the bobble. He's safe. Hunter safe at second. Nice play by Morneau. With the play in front of him, he saw Merton bobble it, scampered to third, and that allowed Hunter to advance into scoring position as well.
Good heads-up base running, like you said, Dick. You know, you have to take it upon yourself. You can't rely on a third base coach. That ball bobbled right there, and Morneau alertly goes to third. Perez, the shortstop, cuts it off. Has a chance to get Torii Hunter at second base, but the throw offline to Todd Walker. So good aggressive base running by the Twins.
And now Ruben Sierra, the designated hitter for the Twins.
Merton will get an error on that play, allowing Morneau and Torii Hunter to advance a base.
Just off the plate, ball one. Sierra with a couple of plate appearances since coming off the disabled list. His inclusion into the lineup today interesting because of the left-hander throwing. Sierra hitting right-handed. That's the side where he injured himself. Half swing there. And a strike, 1-1. As a right-handed hitter, he took the swing and the bicep tendon was ruptured. And so the Twins were a little hesitant to get him back in there from the right side, but having seen him in batting practice, they decided to let it fly today.
Well, Ruben Sierra over his career, not as many at bats, but a better hitter from the right side of the plate, a .289 career hitter.
Just inside 2-1.
A .268 career hitter in his overall career in his 20th season at the major league level.
To center, down for a hit. Morneau scores. Hunter coming behind him. Here's the throw from Pierre. It hits the mound, and Sierra drives in two with a single.
Well, he got jammed here a little bit, but Ruben Sierra, we know he's strong. He just fought it off and hit in front of Juan Pierre. Now, Pierre can go get the ball, but Scotty Alger knows at third base he doesn't have the strongest arm out in center field. So Torii getting a good jump right there. And once Pierre gets that ball, Torii Hunter scores from second base. Sierra picking up RBI number 3 and 4 on the year.
So the Cubs had a threat in the first and the second. They misfired, and the Twins get a walk and a pair of singles and already have 2 on the board. Rothschild, the pitching coach, comes out and has a little bit of an exchange with the home plate umpire Adam Dowdy, who's a AAA umpire called up for this series. Maybe the trip to the mound, not so much to talk with the pitcher, maybe to express some displeasure with the home plate ump.
I think what I've seen Dowdy already, he's called some pitches up. Now maybe in and out, maybe that's what Rothschild was talking about, working the inner half and the outer half of the plate.
So Dowdy have some words with the Chicago catcher Henry Blanco. Here's Lou Ford. Low, ball 1. Cooper, Davis, and Gorman are major league umpires. Dowdy called up for this series, a vacation umpire. Strike on the outside corner, 1-1.
Always talk about getting ahead, strike one. Well, Marshall has faced 8 batters. He has fallen behind 1-0 on 6 of the 8 he has faced. Sometimes you're asking for trouble if you constantly fall behind an account.
It's a long way, but a foul ball into the seats. Started the inning by striking out Kadir, and then he lost Morneau. He got ahead of him, and Justin behind in the count, but lost him.
And he walked him, and guess what he does? He scores.
On the outside corner, second strikeout of the inning, 2 away. Twins leading 2-0. Let's go find Jim Rich.
Well, thanks, Dick. Jason Bartland, since he's been called up, he's been on an 11-game hitting streak, and I talked to him this morning, and he said when he got called up this time, he didn't try to put pressure on himself. And then when Juan Castro got traded, it took even more pressure off him, knowing that if he goes 0 for 4, he won't be on the bench the next day. But perhaps the most interesting thing he said, that he knows he hasn't done enough yet to be given the job at short. He still has to earn it. And Gardy told me he just wants to see Bartlett play with no fear. So what does that actually mean to you guys when Gardy wants somebody to play with no fear?
Well, just go out and be aggressive, Jim. Just, take your job one day at a time and do the best you can and be aggressive. Be aggressive on the defense and the offense side of the game of baseball.
And to the extent we're seeing what Jason Bartlett can bring to a baseball game for the first time, perhaps it's important that neither Tony Batista nor Juan Castro are here, because if one or the both of them were there, if Batista was still here and Nick Punto was kind of waiting in the wings maybe to play a few games at short, what would that have done to Bartlett's confidence?
Well, I think the Twins realize that Jason Bartlett's going to be their shortstop of the future, so you know, with the way the Twins were playing, they had to do something. And, you know, Bartlett went down to AAA. He got sent down after spring training. He went down there, hit over 300 in AAA, got a lot of extra base hits, a lot of doubles. And he played very solidly defensively in Rochester. Gets the call up, currently on a 10-game hitting streak. He's hit in every game so far.
Little fly to right, playable for Jones. But as they've done throughout this series, the Twins have bunched things together for a couple of runs in the second.
Minnesota Twins baseball on WMTC 29 is presented by American Family Insurance. All your protection under one roof.
Here at the Dome, the Twins have taken the first lead 2-0, and Juan Pierre will lead off the third. Ruben Sierra doubling his RBI total with his base hit to center field. Pierre with a leadoff single, bluffs a bunt, pulls the bat back and takes a strike at the knees. Pierre just stuck the bat out and lined a single to center field to lead off the ball game. Got as far as second base. 1-1.
Yeah, that ball that he hit off of Brad Radke in the first inning was a two-seamer away, and Pierre just kind of reached out there to get it. First pitch fastball to get strike one, and then the next pitch inner half. Now Redmond moving outer half.
And trying to chop it past Punto at third instead of dribbler foul. 2 strikes.
We showed you the graphic with infield base hits. You see just trying to slap that ball into the turf and utilize that speed. Ishiro with the most infield hits in the major leagues. Pierre second, and then Luis Castillo third. So his job, get on base.
Cubs last night had a lineup with a lot of speed. Pierre, Tony Womack, Freddie Bynum, and they lost a lot of speed in the ball game last night. Womack with a sore back. He says he's a lot better today. And Bynum put on the disabled list. Bartlett has to throw him out and can't. Couldn't quite get it in the air. And Pierre, again, one of those guys that if the ball hits the ground, there's a pretty good chance he's going to get a base hit.
Well, again, reaching out and poking it the other way. He feels that, you know, if he hits it to the left side of the infield, he's got a good chance of beating it out. Well, Bartlett tries to backhand this line drive and ends up hitting the turf, and then Bartlett, even though he has a strong throw across the diamond, no chance.
Here's Todd Walker single to right on a 2-strike pitch from Radke. Strike in the outside corner. Mentioned the Walker's hit in a number of different spots in the Chicago batting order. He's playing second base. He's played some first base. Was the designated hitter on Friday. You look at the Cubs as they're put together presently, and boy, they've got some holes out there. I don't know that they've got a second baseman that's going to be their guy as they hope to contend again. Don't know that they've got a center fielder that will be a center fielder on a contending club.
Well, I mean, Pierre can be. He's just having an off year offensively. I mean, he's a career .305 hitter, part of that World Series team with the Florida Marlins. Andy McPhail, Terry Ryan sitting right to our right here.
We'll have Mr. McPhail over here in the 5th inning to reminisce about his tenure with the Twins. 1-1.
Todd Walker, of course, signed by the Twins back in 1994 out of LSU. #1 pick by the Twins. Came up, spent time with the Twins from 1996 to 2000 before getting traded over to the Colorado Rockies. Twins received the first baseman Todd Sears in that trade.
Here goes. Twins pitch out. Redmond's throw. Got him. The throw a little high, and now Pierre might have hurt himself. Looked like he might have jammed a finger with a head-first slide.
Well, Jason Bartlett had to really catch his ball and slap it on the sliding Pierre. Now it's a pitch out. Mike Redmond, who's thrown out now 5 of 13 potential base stealers. And Pierre getting a good jump, utilizing that speed, but that big slap right there. And it's basically sliding into Bartlett.
And now 2-2 to Walker. Pretty good number for a backup catcher. You know, Mauer's numbers are good. And again, let's not just credit the catchers. The pitching staff doing a nice job holding runners.
Even that pitch out was exactly where Mike Redmond wanted it. So credit Brad Radke, almost like an assist. You know, you call a pitch out. Redmond, all he knows is, you know, you've got a control type pitcher out there. Brad Radke, he's going to throw it in that right-handers hitting batter's box, and Mike Redmond takes it over from there.
Full count to Walker. And that's a foul ball that'll reach the seats. Cubs right now on a pace to lose 100 games this year. Would be the first time they've done that since 1966. And Dusty Baker's job on the line. Many are wondering whether he will survive the year. He's in the last year of his contract managing the Cubs. Another 3-2 to Walker. And a walk to Walker. So Radke again able to retire the first 2 batters here in the 3rd inning. Derek Lee back in the lineup, and he missed a lot of time since this play. Rafael Furcal running into Lee, and he broke his wrist. The flip made by pitcher Scott Air, brother of Twins pitcher Willie Air. There's a liner to right, and the first 3 batters reach here in the 3rd inning, with Lee getting his first hit, a single to right.
Yeah, it'll probably be a while before Lee really feels comfortable as far as trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Good piece of hitting right there, jumping on that first pitch from Radke and lining it into right field. So that throw out from Redmond to Bartlett of Pierre, really a big play so far here with 1 out and a couple runners on.
Brad Radke's faced 12 batters, and 7 of them have reached. He got Nevin to bounce into an inning-ending double play in the first. Just off the corner, ball one. Swing and a miss. We'll mention it again because it really impacts what Dusty Baker can do with his lineup. Phil Nevin is playing first base and not in the DH spot because he is serving as the backup catcher for the Cubs. Michael Barrett serving his suspension. He'll come off his suspension in time to play against the White Sox again next weekend.
Well, and the thing is too, now when he's serving that suspension, you cannot add a player. The Cubs are basically playing with 24 men instead of the normal 25-man roster.
And you wonder too about the availability of Womack, and Freddie Bynum put on the disabled list to allow Lee to come back today. You wonder whether Womack is even available to play after collapsing in pain during the game last night.
Yeah, they labeled him as day-to-day.
Today is probably not the day. On the outside corner, out number 2.
Well, they got Phil Nevin to hit into that double play to end the first. Here, Brad Radke picks up his third strikeout by shaving the outer half of the plate. Watch Redmond hold that ball right there. Good pitch. And Phil Nevin, a big strikeout for Radke here. Now 2 outs in the third inning.
Now Aramis Ramirez. Bounce wide of third. 1 strike. Would benefit from having Derek Lee back in the lineup.
Yeah, Ramirez in his 4th season with the Cubs, a career .277 hitter. A lot of power. Came up with the Pirates in 1998.
One strike. Now a ball.
Ramirez, 27 years old, from the Dominican Republic.
Answer to short. Out at second. In the third, the Cubs get 3 batters on base but can't score against Brad Radke.
Now, you were in Dumont yesterday.
Yeah.
You mentioned, now they want to be circled, but I think they want to see your tattoo. Did you buy a tattoo?
No. I mentioned yesterday to some people in Dumont, I thought you had a tattoo.
I do, but
we don't want to see it, do we?
No, you don't want to see it.
GMC game reset.
Or on my buttocks.
Here's Luis Castillo leading off the third inning. Well, now that's the baseball equivalent of James Carville and Mary Madeline right there. That's Mauer and Pryor sitting together. 2-0. And the Twins number 1 pick, number 1 overall pick in 2001 will watch today's game, as will Mark Pryor apparently. Up and away, 3-0.
Yeah, reporters asked Mark Pryor what he thought about facing Joe Mauer, and he said, hey, the young man looks like he's got a good idea up at the plate. Pitches away, he goes that way, doesn't try to do too much. Very impressed with his eye at the plate.
Did you get into this big matchup business last night? Mark Pryor and Joe Mauer aren't arch enemies or anything like that. I mean, it's just one guy was the number 1 pick, the other guy was a number 2 pick. Bouncer up the middle, cut off by the shortstop Perez. Castillo's retired. Twins fans, during each broadcast, we'll take a question for the booth from Car Soup. Details are online at carsoup.com/baseball. And Brady Anderson of Valley City, North Dakota. It's a little bit north of Dumont. Bert, what is the most strikeouts you had in one season?
Let's see, 1973. I had 258 strikeouts that year. You know, I saw Santana last year, and he ended up leading the major leagues with 238. Now, when I had 258 strikeouts, I worked 325 innings. Santana last year, 238 strikeouts. He worked a total of 231. So, you know, he pitched almost 100 innings less than I did.
See, I misunderstood the question entirely because I looked it up, and the most strikeouts you had were in 1971. You struck out 37 times.
Is that my at-bats?
And 91 at-bats. I just misunderstood the question. You hit 132 that year.
Yeah, you know what? I went in and negotiated. Back then, we didn't have agents. I remember after my first year, you have to go in and negotiate with Calvin Griffith about a new contract. And, of course, I got minimum my second year, as I did my first year.
Be a tough play for Walker, and Punto with a head first down is safe. So Punto showing that speed we talked about in the top of the order.
Yeah, and I thought, you know, I hit pretty good my first year, my rookie season. I hit like 160, 170, and then I hit 130 my next year in 71. So I told Calvin going after the 71 season, hey, I've hit 300 at the major league level. 170 and 130 by my California math is 300. But he didn't buy that. So I got a $500 raise.
You're, and we're probably glad to get that. Your strikeout to walk ratio wasn't very good in 1971.
Well, why would they walk me?
Well, somebody did.
No, really?
You drew a walk. One walk the entire year against 37 strikeouts. That's
where releases come in. That pitcher had to be released.
Well, was it Tovar leading off the next inning? The pitcher was just taken out of the game right away. Well, here's Redmond. And he gets a base hit. Punto will round second and hold up there.
Well, is that a surprise right there? Mike Redmond gets a hit. This guy has been on fire. What a backup catcher for Joe Mauer. Came into the game hitting .377. And this guy can hit.
You can establish priority for the new ballpark when you purchase season tickets. There are still season ticket packages, including the balance of this season's tickets and the ever-popular Flex 40. Call 612-375-7454 for season tickets and priority for the new ballpark. A day like today, imagine in a few years we're going to be sitting outside on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. Kadire takes a strike. Another nice crowd indoors here. I would guess this is about the size of the crowd that we had Friday night. 34,000 was it? Something like that?
A little over 34,000.
42,000 and some change last night. 1-1.
Well, Kadir a strikeout victim when he led off the second inning against Marshall. He struck him out on that big curveball.
To right field and a base hit. Punto being waved around on Jack Jones' arm. The throw to the plate, not handled by Blanco, and the runners will move up. Jones with a short hop throw to the plate. Punto scores. It's 3-0.
That'll be an RBI single for Michael Kadir. And the Twins taking a chance right there. Now these are chances you can take when you have a lead. And Kadir just reaching out and going the other way. He picks up his 41st RBI. And Jock Jones comes in. It's a strong throw, but just short hops. Henry Blanco and Nick Punto scores. And both runners advance a base. I mean, a good throw right there. If Blanco's able to get that, Nick Punto is out at home.
RBI for Kadir, an error charge to Jones, and here's Morneau with the infield in. Strike on the inside corner. And again, the Twins bunching singles together to potentially have a big inning here.
That's exactly what the Twins need to do, Dick. They are not a home run hitting ball club. Only the Kansas City Royals have hit fewer home runs this year, so they have to have innings like this. They have to utilize their speed. They have to be aggressive on the base paths and score runs. And
again, the speed of Punto. His speed got him on board on base in the first place, and then coming around third, Scotty Alger felt comfortable sending him inside to Morneau, 2-1. Well, while the Twins might not be a home run hitting team, they have a home run hitting first baseman. Looking for number 20.
That was almost it.
2-2.
5 of his 19 home runs have come against left-handed pitchers.
I thought it was interesting hearing what Rod Carew said about using your legs and primarily your back leg, how it helps you drive the ball the other way and hit with power to all fields, and that is exactly what we've seen from Justin over the last 2 weeks. Shortstop Perez to the mound along with Blanco. Justin more and more has found himself in situations just like this with one runner, maybe 2 runners in scoring position, and he has done very well in cleaning up those RBIs. Over the last 15 ball games, 23 RBIs with 8 home runs. Nice dig by Blanco. 3-2. Now Morneau walked in the second with 1 out, and the Cubs have first base open, but then Torii Hunter's on deck. Well, you want to make a good pitch right here if you're Marshall. You don't want to give in to Morneau. Does he come back with the breaking ball? If you walk him, you have a force out at every base with 1 out. Chop to the right side, and it goes through for a hit. Ruben will score with Nevin and Walker looking at each other. Either one could have made the play easily, and neither did. Well, this is Todd Walker's ball right here. Phil Nevin went after it, but as a second baseman, you have to get out there. You have to get that ball. It's just a high hopper right here. Nevin went after it, but he's looking at Todd Walker. And a big mistake right there for the Cubs. These things don't show up in the scorebook, but boy, that's demoralizing right there when that happens. Morneau will be credited with an RBI, his 62nd of the year. And you're Marshall, and you got a dangerous hitter at the plate. You make a nice pitch, and you get a weak 2 hopper, and it ends up in right field. So 4-0. Still only 1 out, and And here's Hunter with runners on the corner.
That's a play right there that Nevin probably should have been more aggressive, because with the runner at third, he would have had the best chance at that ball if there was going to be a play at home. But Todd Walker also has to get over there and back up the play. They both stopped.
4 straight hits, and now Hunter, who's singled last inning. Bouncer to short. Perez fumbles it. They only get the one out, and another run will score. Just had a tough time delivering the ball to the second baseman, and the Twins have a 3-run inning.
And another, earned run right there for Marshall, a play that maybe should have been a double play. Instead, with that little hesitation in the bobble, is a force out instead of maybe the double play. And Michael Kadire scores the 3rd run of the inning. So Torii Hunter picking up an RBI, his 40th of the year.
Roberto Novoa warming up. Here's Sierra. Strike. Sierra dropped a single to center, scored the first 2 runs of the game last inning. At bats so infrequent for Sierra because of the injury. A 1-for-1 afternoon has raised his batting average 42 points.
There's an old baseball saying, you never want to give the other team more than 3 outs. Well, the Cubs so far looks like, with that last out coming somewhere this inning, they will give the Twins 5 outs this inning. The Twins have taken advantage of it.
2 strikes to Sierra. Checked with Ron Gardenhire, by the way, before the game, and he did not have an update on another batter who might have been in this designated hitter spot, Rondell White. The Twins, as of 20 minutes to 1 today, did not have an update on White's shoulder. And I guess that's one thing that Twins fans should be encouraged about. We don't, we're hoping that Rondell White's shoulder is fine. They can get it and him fixed, and he can contribute this year. But the veterans that the Twins added in the offseason have had so little to do with this resurgence. It's been the young guys, the inexperienced guys, the Mornos, the Mauers, the Kadires, Kubel, Bartlett now. And the veterans really have not done much to get this team back over 500.
Not yet. But the thing is about Rondell White, he's just trying to find out why he's been so slow sometimes on that fastball. Now, he had dislocated that left shoulder in August of last year, had it surgically fixed, and was hoping that everything would be fine this year. But you can kind of see by the batting average, maybe that's why Rondell White just hasn't found that swing yet.
Even Castillo's numbers are down just a little bit.
It's tough. Anybody out there that's had surgery, you know how long it takes to try to come back.
2 strikes to Sierra. 1 and 2. And you get a sense too when you see players who are hurt. What a very high level of competition you have here, and that Sierra is able to play as long as he's played, and it's a guy like Rondell White had a very good career going, but just one little thing retarding his swing, and suddenly in his at-bats the pitchers have had the edge.
Yeah, you'd like to go out there and be healthy every year. You have to learn to play with a little bit of pain, but how much pain can you tolerate when your shoulder is bothering you? How good is your swing going to be? That's been the biggest frustration for Rondell White. He wants to contribute. Like you mentioned, this guy's a career 280-plus hitter in the major leagues. He just has not contributed as much as he'd like to yet.
Sierra to left, and a nice running catch made by Merton. But in the inning, 5 outs, as Bert said, 4 singles and 3 more Twins runs. FSN North for Freedom Week, which starts tomorrow. FSN Live Twins pre- and post-game shows will originate from various National Guard sites throughout the state. Freedom Week will culminate with Operation Home Base, a commercial-free telecast on July 1st, honoring U.S. military serving in Iraq. An FSN North crew is embedded with the Minnesota National Guard in Iraq for this tribute. Operation Home Base, July 1st at 6:30 on FSN North. Fastball at the knees to Jacques Jones. Jones, Merton, and Perez in the Chicago fourth. Sharply hit. Nice backhanded pickup by Castillo, and he throws him out.
Nice defensive play right there. The Twins outstanding. You know what? They have won 13 out of the 15 because not only good pitching, timely hitting, but a very solid defensive ball club. Castillo going to his right, sets himself and throws over to Morneau. Good backhanded play. Good play by Castillo.
There's Matt Merton.
Three-time Rawling Gold Glove winner at second base in the National League.
He hits the outside corner.
Boy, you can't, as a former pitcher, Dick, when you get runs early, boy, as a pitcher, it just makes you relax. Now Brad Radke with that 5-0 lead, he'll just try to keep painting the corners as he's doing here.
And that's the improvement, I think, that we've seen from Radke over his last several starts. And maybe that's why we're seeing more walks. A better job of pitching to the corners and missing away or missing in instead of over the middle of the plate.
Well, you know what? I mean, Brad has been pitching so long at the major league level. You're going to run through cycles where, you know, you're not going to have that pinpoint control. But over the last 4 outings, he has found that. Both sides of the plate. You can see him working away and then going to the two-seamer and strikeout number 4 for Radke.
2 away.
Brad, not a strikeout pitcher, a season high earlier this year, but he paints the inner half of the plate, and Merton no chance.
In 1991, the Twins had a very good ERA, 15-game winning streak included in that, and now the Twins in June doing very well. You know about Liriano and Santana, and Radke has pitched very well in the month of June. Carlos Silva's shown signs of coming around, and suddenly this team is looking very much like the team that we thought we would see coming out of spring training.
Yeah, I mean, Terry Ryan, we interviewed him yesterday. He said it's just a shame that the Twins have dug themselves a hole, and you find the Chicago White Sox and the Detroit Tigers ahead of you. But the Twins will have to continue to play good baseball. They find themselves 11 games behind the Tigers. But the big thing is the Twins in the Central Division, when they start playing against these teams, hopefully the pitching will stay solid. The Twins are 8-18 against the teams in their division. That's the area that they have to improve the most.
1-2 to Neifi Perez. No. 2-2. And the Twins can do something about this, of course, but what they need is for either Chicago or Detroit to come back to the pack a little bit. If they're going to win 2 out of 3, it's a moot point. The Twins can play 700 baseball and not get more baseball.
Strikeout number 5 for Radke.
And Radke's best inning, a 1-2-3-4.
Well, you are hereby circle. I like those signs the best. Way to put your face in those holes. Lewiston.
Down by Winona. There's a fly down the left field line. Merton with a foul ball catch, and Ford is the first out. Here in the fourth inning. One down, and here's Bartlett. Our Toyota trivia question: since 1965, who are the 5 shortstops to win an MVP award? Our standards, which are set pretty low, to be honest with you, all we have to do is name one of them to
Alex Rodriguez.
Cal Ripken.
There's one right there. He was honored here earlier today.
Bartlett takes a strike on the inside corner.
Well, the third inning was a tough inning for Sean Marshall. He used 36 pitches to get out of that inning. He had 36 pitches combined in the first 2 innings. So the pitch count very high for Marshall.
Miguel Tejada's another one. Shortstop to win an MVP award.
4 out of 5.
Wow.
Oh. Just quit looking.
1-2 to Bartlett. Fly ball to right his first time up.
There's a pitch count right there. 66 total.
Couple of hops to Ramirez. 2 down. Head on out to the Mall of America tomorrow with baseball legends from the 1965 World Series reunite. Legends from both the Twins 65 team and the Dodgers 65 team will be there for photos and autographs. You don't have to get in between them. There are not going to be any fisticuffs or anything, you know. But after seeing former greats, see the Twins host the Dodgers tomorrow night for the first time since 1965 here in Minnesota. Call 800-33-TWINS for tickets. Here's Luis Castillo taking a ball. Now, you were out in California and you were cheering on the Dodgers in those days. I know you were.
Yeah, I was. I'm telling you, when I got drafted by the Minnesota Twins in 1969, I didn't know where Minnesota was. I had to look at a map like you do where little cities do. Where's Minnesota? Didn't know that was a state. Now I do.
There are times now where I wonder if you know where it is to this day. Good start for the Twins, 5-0 Minnesota as they hope to complete a sweep of the Chicago Cubs. Dick Bramer, Bert Blyleven, and the guy in the middle, of course, that doesn't happen. Andy McPhail, always good to see you. And we're here to talk about some happier times for both for you and for us. Your tenure with the Minnesota Twins. Good have you back, though, in Minnesota. You must always enjoy coming back here.
I sure do. I had a chance to get caught up with a lot of people. It's amazing to me how many people that were here 12 years ago are still here today.
Pop up on the first pitch. Blanco. Now that ball might have hit something, and Castillo stayed with it to make the catch. You probably don't see that much at Wrigley Field, do you?
Well, the wind will move it around a fair amount, but no speakers.
Andy, when you come back here, your visits, what do you think about the most? I mean, you scored probably 87 and 91 World Series.
I really, there are certain memories that stick out. More than anything, it's a bunch of relationships with a lot of fine people that you still run across in the game, whether they be former players or managers or coaches or scouts, ownership. It's really been, they're really relationships that last you a lifetime. And then there's certain things, Bert, I'm sure you remember coming back from Detroit in '87 is something that you can live 120 years and you'll never forget that moment. And you're going to have some tough times in this game, so you sure want to enjoy the good ones.
Morneau with a nice play. Radke to the bag. 2 down. He came over here and said, generally when the Cubs are hitting, it's usually a short half inning. We got, 3 pitches and 2 outs here already. Let's talk about one of the great moments of the '91 World Series, Game 6, and our dear friend Mr. Puckett sending us to Game 7.
Well, you know what, most of the time I was pretty numb through the entire series. There isn't anything you can do. You're pretty helpless, and you're cheering like a son of a gun. But I can tell you that it was, the tension over the course of those last couple games was such that I was just rooting for the thing to get over with, one way or the other.
2 down quickly, and here's Walker taking a strike. I remember Bob Gebhardt talking about the '87 team and saying, you guys were as stunned as anybody because you were basically trying to get this is my term, not Bob's, trying to get your ducks in a row and try to organize this organization.
Yeah, no question about it. The team had struggled in '86, but we knew we really had a good nucleus of players. My goodness, Bert and Frank were, very solid starting pitchers. You had Kirby, Tom Bernansky, Ken Herbeck, Gary Gaetti, Greg Gagne. We just felt like we should try to surround them with as many complementary players. We were fortunate. We didn't really have to get great players. We just needed to get some people to fill out the bullpen at the end and support the rest of our staff. And
we got Juan Berringer and
Jeff Reardon, which were really key. Al Newman did a great job for us in the middle. And, we really had great character on the team. Bert, you being one of them. I can remember many times, that he'd give us innings when we really needed them because we were stretched thin at the bottom of the rotation. So it was a fun ride. We couldn't win on the road and we couldn't lose at home, which is, and the division wasn't that hard. But once we got into the postseason, a lot of our weaknesses were camouflaged by the fact that we would keep getting to play 2 games and be off one, and that really was a great asset, along with the fans here in Minnesota that were really our 10th guy on the field the whole time.
Yeah, you mentioned that, and I think everybody that remembers '87 always refers to not game 1, 2, 3, or 7 in the World Series. They remember after we beat Detroit coming back here to the Metrodome. Unbelievable. We had Randy Bush, Ken Herbeck. Everybody remembers that. Dan Gladden, yourself. Unbelievable. What the fans did that night and what they meant to us in the World Series.
We interviewed Gary Gaetti in Houston the other day, and he singled that event out rather than a game. And of course, it seemed fitting that Gaetti would be a part of the final out of the World Series.
A wrap.
I remember a game against the Royals at the end of the season. Bert was on the mound, and there was, I think, first and third, nobody out. And Al Newman turned a 6-4 to 2 double play, and the crowd went wild. And Bert shut him down the rest of the way. And I think we came back with 3 home runs in the next 2 innings. So the crowd really did have a tremendous impact on our performance at home.
1-2 to Derek Lee. Kramer, Bert Gladden, joined by former Twins general manager Andy MacPhail, now running the show with the Cubs. The middle, back to Radke. And this visit too short, but it's always good to see you, Andy.
It was my pleasure, Dick.
Andy,
nice having you. And good luck to you guys the rest of the way.
All right, same to you.
Twins.
Little guy on the right needs to get him. Just chin up just a little bit.
Another year, he'll be perfect.
Now the Twins hit in the bottom of the 5th inning, and it'll be Nick Punto leading things off. First pitch foul back. Punto, Redmond, and Kadire lined up to face Sean Marshall. You were with the Twins before Andy MacPhail was brought over to kind of run the show. Of course, you knew of the pedigree. His grandfather's in the Hall of Fame. His father wasn't at the time, but now is in baseball's Hall of Fame. But what were your impressions? You know, Andy still to this day looks very youthful and does not really look like a baseball executive type.
Well, you know what? I remember Andy MacPhail. You know, I came over in that same season that they hired Andy MacPhail as to be the president of player personnel in 1985. And I just got traded over from the Cleveland Indians, so I was just starting to get to know the front office again with the Minnesota Twins. Of course, when I left, Mr. Griffith was the owner. Now it was Mr. Poland. And it's an organization that always built within. I was very, very happy to be back in the Twins uniform again. And Andy MacPhail, I think what he mentioned, you know, over the winter of '86, I felt in 1986, even though we had a frustrating year, that we had the nucleus to be a good ball club. You know, we needed additional bullpen help like he did, be able to go out and get Juan Berenguer and Jeff Reardon. But we had Puckett, we had Gaetti, we had Herbeck, we had, you know, Bernansky. We had good players. Tim Laudner behind the plate.
He had a shortstop who could cover all the ground on the left side of the infield.
Greg Gagne, Steve Lombardozzi did a great job in '87 at second. We just needed good pitching, and Frankie and I, you know, along with Les Straker and a combination of other 4 or 5 starters that year, just able to win 85 games and get into postseason.
You know, Andy talked about how soft the rotation was in the bottom end, but over the course of that year, the Twins acquired Joe Niekro, Steve Carlton, trying to, you know, patch things together. Now, Niekro pitched just a little bit in the postseason. Carlton wasn't even on the postseason roster.
Yeah, but he was with us.
2-2.
And that's another story for another time.
I remember in '87, after the team won the World Series, one of the photographs of you guys in the Rose Garden ceremony, and they identified President Reagan and the Twins contingent in this picture, and there in the back it was identified as a Secret Service agent, and it was Carlton with sunglasses.
Yeah, he was a Secret Service agent, all right. You know what, and to bring that up, I think that was one of the most memorable moments I've had in my life, when I had an opportunity to go with the club to the Rose Garden, and President Reagan walked out of his office and walked through the Rose Garden, and believe it or not, I've never been around anybody that you look at somebody and they just shined. He like had a glow about him. Unbelievable. And that was quite an honor to be there.
Full count, and Punto with a great at bat. A lot of 2-strike fouls and a leadoff ball. All right, let's go back to our trivia question and find out the shortstops that have won an American League MVP award. Versailles, Ripken, Tejada, Rodriguez, Barry Larkin.
Barry Larkin.
Well, we could have been here till next year at this time and probably not come up with Barry Larkin.
Well, we got 4 out of 5.
That's pretty good for us. Robin Yount, we didn't get that name either. But again, our record's intact on these trivia questions. Somebody ought to come up with one that just makes it tougher for us. Here's Redmond, a single and a run scored his last time up. And Punto dives back. Well, the whole '87 season was such a memorable one. And I, you know, as a Minnesota resident, the guy who did some games back then, I remember waking up about a week or 2 afterwards and realize, I mean, that's when it hit me that this really happened. That this team, this area that had been without a championship in a major sport since the Lakers in the 50s, had suddenly won it all. It really took a while, I think, as a fan and as a broadcaster for it to sink in. And I mean, you've gone through it in Pittsburgh in '79, but it had to be pretty much the same for you, didn't it?
You know what? As a player, I mean, you go to the ballpark from the middle of February all the way through October, through postseason, World Series. You end up winning, and you have the parades like we did in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and we ended up at the Capitol for that. But it didn't really sink until we received our rings to me the following year. That we did what we were able to accomplish. Unbelievable feeling.
Well, here's Redmond. He's got a ring with the Marlins.
I was going to say he felt that feeling too.
Probably never wears the ring.
I was going to say he doesn't have a ring. He has 2 rings in one. That thing is huge.
It comes with a corkscrew.
Larry Rothschild coming out again.
Well, do you think the Cardinals are convinced that the power in baseball lies in the American League Central? Cardinals have been swept in their 6 games against the top 2 teams in the American League Central, the White Sox and Tigers.
That win right there, the 51st for the Detroit Tigers. They are 51-25.
Two 2-0 to Redmond. Blanco digs it out. White Sox play tonight, by the way, at home against Houston. The Indians are losing 4-2. Here the Twins blessed behind the plate in a way that they've never been blessed with Mauer and Redmond. 3-1. And one of the problems in Cleveland is they're very concerned about Victor Martinez. At least the other day, they moved him to first base because he's unable to throw people out.
Yeah.
Some people comparing Victor Martinez now to a American League version of Mike Piazza. Great offensive player, but not so much defensively. And then you realize what the Twins have in Redmond and Mauer. 2 catchers who obviously excel offensively, but do such a good job defensively as well.
Well, they call great ball games. You know, the pitchers do a good job of holding on runners, giving them a chance to throw out runners.
Punto takes off, and here's a fly to deep right. Jones is there to make the catch, 1 away. A couple of lengthy at bats here in this 5th inning. They don't get Kadire to the plate. And just to go back to the '87 team, Tim Laudner didn't hit much, pretty good defensive catcher. And then the backup in that '87 team was veteran Sal Butera. And Butera came back for another stint with the Twins, I think, during the course of the '87 season.
Yeah, Sal was a great receiver. Now, you know, offensively, he's not going to give you a lot, but boy, he called a great ball game. Did a great job. A lot like a Henry Blanco for the Cubs. That type of receiver.
Every game for the Cubs in Barrett's absence. Barrett will come off his suspension in time for next weekend's games at Wrigley Field against the White Sox. Timing of it all, of course, curious, but it's not been done to sell tickets because the tickets are all sold out already anyway. I'm sure Barrett and Pierzynski will make nicey nice and everything will be fine.
Well, hopefully it will.
2-0 to Kadire. Marshall falling behind another hitter here in the 5th. Two and one. And it just looks like Marshall, who's been erratic with his control anyway, might be reaching the end of his day's work here.
Again, Marshall making his 15th major league start in his rookie season. 4 wins, 5 losses, 4.97 ERA coming into this ball game. He has a couple strikeouts, couple walks.
And now Carroll walks here in the 5th. 2 aboard with 1 out. And if you'd like to get priority for seating in the Twins' new ballpark, get all the information. Call 800-33-TWINS. And the Twins representative is on hand right now to answer your questions. And that'll bring up Morneau. Walked in a run scored, and then he hit a 2-hopper that negligently got between Walker and Nevin.
Okay, now if that ball is hit between us again, you go after it, I'll go after it.
This is the 5th time the Twins have had a 3-game series at home with a chance to sweep the series, and so far they're 3 for 4. The only time they didn't get it done was here against the Yankees. Outside, ball 1. The Twins in their last homestand swept the Red Sox, and then the Red Sox went off and won 6 or 7 in a row right after that. 1-1.
90 pitches so far for Sean Marshall, 50 strikes, 40 balls.
Swing and a foul, a big swing, 1 and 2. Originally, we were expecting Brad Radke to square off against Greg Maddux. Maddux instead will start tomorrow for the Cubs, and if we had had that matchup, we'd have been in the parking lot perhaps by now. Game would have been over. Future Hall of Famer Greg Maddux, and Morneau on a slow breaking ball called out on strike for round number 2.
And Marshall picking up his 3rd strikeout of the ball game. Dusty Baker coming out to make a pitching change. Big slow curveball like you mentioned. A little bit on the high side as it crossed home plate.
Don't get many pitches called in the letters these days, do you? So Marshall leaves, having given up so far 5 runs on the afternoon. Dogs and cats can live together. You can have a Twins fan sitting next to a Cubs fan. Right now, she's got to be happier about the proceedings, and he is, with the Twins hoping to complete a sweep, and Roberto Novoa coming out of the Chicago bullpen.
Novoa coming out for the 25th time. good fastball type pitcher with a sinking fastball between 93 and 97. Slider, split finger that he uses as a changeup.
Half swing, strike one.
That's a split finger right there. Novoa in his second season with the Cubs. Once property of the Detroit Tigers. Came up with the Tigers in 2004.
Called, strike 0-2.
Novoa at 6'5", 200 from the Dominican Republic, 26 years old.
I saw a little bit of him when he was with the Tigers. Taking a couple of walks this inning, trying to increase a 5-0 lead. And Hunter strikes out on 3 pitches. To the 6th, the Twins up 5-0.
Baseball on WFTC 29 is presented by Dodge. Grab life by the horns.
Welcome back to the Metrodome. Twins leading at 5-0 over the Chicago Cubs, and it's time now to add a new winner to the winner's circle. But, Bert, this is going to test your California math, as Chantel of Brookings, South Dakota, wants to be octagon. And how did you decide that?
Well, we were at dinner one night. My family was going through triangle me Bert, square me Bert, pentagon me Bert, hectagon me Bert. We decided on octagon.
That looked like Australia.
It's very impressive. That was nice work. Now, you talk about you have a shrine to the Twins, and it's where in your house?
In the bathroom.
All right, yes.
Twins. Toilet, seat, towel.
My bobblehead in there, too.
Clippings on the toilet, under the toilet, all over the place.
Bert wants to know if his bobblehead is in the toilet.
I don't think Bert's is, but Kirby's is, and a couple other ones. Sorry, Bert.
All right. Well, congratulations from the Minnesota State Lottery, and hope you have a great day at the ballpark.
Very much, Jim.
Well, there's another goal for me to get into her bathroom. What the heck, you know?
One down. Here's a Ramos Ramirez.
I meant my bobblehead, of course.
Right. That might have been the worst octagon I have ever seen anybody try to draw.
That's why I circle.
Jeez.
Keep it simple.
Here's a fly to short
Stupid.
right. Kadire can't find it, and then makes the play. 2 down here in the 6th.
Well, Brad Radke has been outstanding so far. 5 2/3 innings of shutout baseball after the Twins shut out the Cubs in last night's ball game. Brad with 1 walk in a ball game, 5 strikeouts. Boy, he's been painting the corner. The artist, Brad Radke, is on the mound here this afternoon. High of 92. That changeup at 76 for Brad Radke.
outside ball. When you call Brad Radke an artist, and of course, had we had the Radke-Maddox matchup, that would have been artistry on the mound. In fact, it's Maddox, of course, who was the last pitcher to face Kirby Puckett in spring training before the glaucoma struck Kirby. And Kirby got a couple of hits and got a double against Maddox. There's a high drive to right center field off the bat of Jones. Hunter over to make the catch, and as Puckett stood at second base, he looked at Maddox and says, "Hey, Picasso, how you doing?" A 1-2-3-6 for Brad Radke. Here, South Dakota.
Welcome to the game. Good game for the Minnesota Twins, leading 5-0 in our Pontiac. Game reset. Seymour No with a single, walk and a run. Brad Radke, 6 shutout innings so far.
Ruben Sierra leads off the Twins 6th against Roberto Novoa. Ball 1.
Ruben now hitting as a left-handed hitter.
Got the scoring started with his 2-run single in the second inning. 2-0. This is one of those cases where, and we mentioned Rondell White's not available to play today. Hopefully he'll be ready to go tomorrow. They'll get an encouraging report. A little pop fly to short left. Long run for Perez. And now he lets it drop between himself and the left fielder. Well, the left fielder, Merton, seemed a little disinterested in coming in and taking charge on that ball, and so it drops for a single.
Well, we saw Michael Kadire almost lose that fly ball to right field. Again, hard to track here sometimes during the day. But this is a ball, again, that should have been played properly by the Cubs. Merton comes in. He's not saying anything. And it's a ball definitely that he should have taken care of right here. Perez looking at the left fielder. As the outfielder, you have to take charge. And Merton, you can see nothing was coming out of his mouth other than a little gum.
The ball literally landed right at his feet.
Right.
1-0 now to Ford. There's a chance that Minnesota native and former Twin Michael Restovich will get another chance with the Cubs. He's hitting .310, 10 homers, 32 runs batted in for the Iowa Cubs. Also, Burnsville's Michael Wirtz doing nice work out of the Iowa Oaks bullpen. 4-0 with a 2.12 ERA. So maybe some local connections to the Cubs will break through and play.
I'll tell you what, Dick, what I've seen so far here this afternoon, Dusty Baker, if I'm the manager, I'm going to have a closed door meeting after this ball game and try to wake up my team a little bit, because this is sloppy play. I remember, I think Gardy took over that one. Was it his first year that he apologized to the fans because of the sloppy play of the Minnesota Twins? And he said, we do not, that's not the way we play. And he apologized. And I think Dusty Baker, this is one of these games, and I've been on clubs before where teams have looked like this on a game that somebody needs to be chewed out. This is the major leagues here. Too many mistakes.
This one hit up in the air, and Blanco watches it go back.
And the thing is, who sometimes gets the butt end of it is the starting pitcher. I thought Marshall pitched pretty good, but that three-run third inning for the Twins, that's kind of gifted right there, and all of a sudden you're out of the ball game 5-0, and you play the game the right way, the hard way. And this club right now is not playing the game the right way.
It doesn't look from where I sit that there are too many guys out there who want the ball hit to them right now. There's ball 4 to Ford. And a couple of men reach here to start the 6th inning. You can get up to the minute news and your regular season tickets today at twinsbaseball.com. Sign up for MLB.TV and the other wireless offers. And don't forget to check the eSaver for a great discount on an upcoming Brewers game. Twinsbaseball.com, where Twins baseball is always on. And to be fair, the Twins have gone through stretches too where, in this year there were times when nothing was going right and balls were, finding seams and extra outs were given away and at bats were given away.
But I don't think we ever saw the Minnesota Twins do what the Cubs are doing here. Just lackadaisical plays, and they become base hits rather than, it's the mental errors that I see here this afternoon from the Cubs.
Here's Bartlett to right center field. Jones coming in, makes the catch, one away.
And it's not everybody, I'm not saying everybody, but as a club, you are everybody. You play as a unit.
So one down, back to the top of the order, and Luis Castillo. And if it's like having a position player out there who isn't good defensively, eventually the ball will find him. And if you've got a player or a couple of players that, I don't hate to use the phrase going through the motions, but I don't know, is that what we're seeing here this weekend from the Cubs? Eventually the ball will find that player or those players.
Well, it's just playing aggressive baseball. Don't depend on the guy to your left or right or behind you to make the play. Go make the play yourself.
2-0 to Castillo. And now 2-1. And as the Twins have been on the other end of something like this, if you're the team that is playing well, you need to take advantage of that. Go ahead and try to kick the door in and get the sweep and build some more momentum for a new series that starts tomorrow night.
Yep. Twins took advantage of some of that play in the 3rd inning. See if they can take advantage of it here in the 6th.
3-1. Now Novoa struggling with his control.
Well, Novoa coming into this outing, 19 walks in 33 2/3 innings, making his 26th appearance.
3-2. Ramirez at third, hoping that his team can get off the field here. Great stop it short by Perez, but the ball thrown away, and Sierra will score into the dugout, and another run. Now Ford will be held at third base. Castillo should get an infield hit. Perez with a great stop. He'll be charged with an error on the throw.
Ramirez kind of went after that ball and then came back toward third base, but he didn't get all the way to third base. And the throw ended up hitting Sierra in the back, but you can see Ramirez. He's got to be on this side of third base, not behind the runner. And an error will be charged to Perez, an infield base hit for Castillo. No RBI on the play, where Sierra scores on the air.
Infield in, Punto at the plate. He takes ball one.
It's the third error of the ball game for the Cubs here this afternoon.
And again, that doesn't account for the two-hopper that got between Walker and Nevin, the little pop fly that started this inning. There's another one. Same spot. And this time Merton comes in to make the catch. 2 away. Cub fans kind of a derisive cheer for a pop fly that was caught. And here's Redmond with a chance to drive in a couple more. Redmond singled in the third. Part of a 3-run inning. Ford and Castillo aboard in scoring position. Twins have scored 6 times. They've only left 4 men on so far this afternoon. Fouled away.
Redmond's average at .375. He's a career .287 hitter. In his major league career, 7 seasons with the Florida Marlins, his second season with the Twins. He had a good year last year for the Twins. Hit .311 for the Twins in 45 games, 148 at-bats.
Really enjoys the Twins organization and his role in it. Would like to be around here for a while. Fouled away. We've said it, and maybe we ought to, ask the Carews and the Killebrews when they come join us, because I can't think of a time in Twins history where the Twins have had 2 better catchers than Mauer and Redmond, and I'm not saying that just because they're each hitting .370. Swing and a miss. Redmond's gone. It needs to be a throw, and Blanco makes it to end the inning. But a couple of hits, a walk, another gift run, wrapped up by the Cubs at 6-0.
Oh, thank goodness of Circle. You are here by Circle.
Yeah.
This copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Minnesota Twins.
Come to think of it, your circles and your octagons look an awful lot alike. Here's Brad Radke pitching to the Cubs in the 7th.
Well, Brad has been outstanding. 6 shutout innings, 86 pitches for Brad right now. 1 walk, 5 strikeouts.
Just over 35,000 the paid attendance here today.
Brad making his 16th start of the year, looking for his 6th win. His 142nd major league win, and that's the 6th strikeout for Brad. That ties a season high in strikeouts.
1 gone in the 7th. Here's our Dodge game summary.
Well, the Twins getting on the board early in the 2nd inning. Ruben Sierra, 2-run single. That scored Morneau and Torii Hunter. And Michael Kadire, an RBI, his 41st of the year. That coming in the 3rd inning, the inning that the Twins scored 3 runs. And Brad Radke, he has been sharp here this afternoon.
Neifi Perez 0 for 2, taking strike 1. Indians ended up losing to the Reds 4-2. So Cleveland started the day 5 games behind the Twins. If the Twins win this game, there'll be 6 games between 3rd place and 4th place in the American League Central. Or to put it another way, Kansas City playing better baseball, and they're leading Milwaukee right now 2-0. The Indians will almost be as close to the Royals as they are to the Twins.
Yeah, Kansas City, you mentioned they're playing good baseball. They've won 7 out of their last 10 ball games.
It's hard to fathom what has happened in Cleveland. At about the same time, the Twins were 8 games below 500. Here's a fly to left, and Ford was there for the catch, 2 away. And it was just June 7th. The Twins, remember, in Seattle, Carl Everett hit the walk-off home run. And the Twins were 8 games below 500. And the Indians at that time, I think, were a game above the 500 mark. And the 2 teams have gone in completely different directions.
I'm going to say, I mean, it's what it always comes down to is pitching. Yeah, you know, the Twins starting staff has gotten a lot better. I mean, a lot better. And you look at the Cleveland Indians, their starters have struggled. Their bullpen is in disarray. Bob Wickman not giving an opportunity to get some saves, and when he does, it just hasn't worked out for him. Brad Radke has been outstanding. 94 pitches, 66 strikes.
Major defensive issues with the Indians. Only the Angels are a worse defensive ball club. 1-2 from Radke to Blanco. Driven to right, playable for Kadire. And another 1-2-3 inning for Brad Radke. Cubs were shut out last night, and so far Radke has them stymied this afternoon. is Maria Versailles, Zoilo's daughter, one of his daughters, who did such a wonderful job with the pregame ceremony, singing One Moment in Time with Rick Oliva, the son of Tony Oliva, and she sang God Bless America here. Just a wonderful singing voice.
Beautiful.
Brad Radke with just under 100 pitches, 96. Getting a chat from pitching coach Rick Anderson.
Well, the third pitcher for the Chicago White Sox coming into the ballgame, it'll be Bobby Howry. Excuse me, the Cubs. I keep saying the White Sox. I'm not used to this interleague stuff. The Twins have enjoyed interleague play. They're 9-2 coming into this ball game. But Bobby Howry, last year with the Cleveland Indians in his first season, signing as a free agent by the Cubs over the winter. Very good 2.91 ERA. 34 innings pitched for Howry, 30 strikeouts with 7 walks.
Kadire sharing a chuckle with Henry Blanco, former teammate of his. And it'll be Kadire leading off the 7th, followed by Morneau and Hunter. Strike one. Twins have Dennis Reyes warming up down in their bullpen. It'll be interesting to see if the Twins get Willie Ayer warmed up to possibly pitch. We saw his brother Scott pitch in yesterday's ball game. Right now it's Reyes warming up, but of course the Ayer brothers facing each other in a major league park for the first time. They were together taking pictures before the game today. There's another strike on the outside corner, 1-2. Willie would love to get in there, and there's Scott, who pitched so well for the Cubs in last night's game. Two and two. Family members taking pictures of the Ayer brothers on the Metrodome field before the game today.
Pretty cool right there. Both brothers get another chance to reunite and hug each other in different uniforms, but as brothers do, they're very close brothers. That's what Willie told me. Talk a lot.
Bouncer to third. Ramirez backpedals and fires and gets Kadire at first, 1 away. The Dodgers' first trip to the city since 1965 will begin with a Mountain Dew Mega Monday. If you bring a Mountain Dew can to the Redemption Center at the Dome tomorrow, you get $10 off a lower reserve ticket. You can also order online with a valid Mountain Dew UPC code. So call 800-33-TWINS for details and come see the Twins and Dodgers on Monday. Now, I don't know this. Do you know this? And I think maybe a lot of fans are wondering this too. Does it have to be a full can of Mountain Dew?
No, I think you can drink it.
You can drink it and then bring the empty here.
Right.
Okay.
So bring it full as you're walking to the stadium to get your tickets. Go ahead and drink it.
One strike to Morneau. Two strikes.
Well, Bobby Howry with a good fastball, hard slider, and a split finger. That's his strikeout pitch. Last year, 7-4 with the Indians, 79 appearances. A very good 2.47 ERA.
We're talking about the Indian struggles. This is one of the reasons why. Morneau swings at that high fastball and strikes out for out number 2.
Yeah, I mean, 3 main guys for the Indians lost to free agency or via trades. David Risky, Arthur Rhodes, and this guy right here, Bobby Howry. You lose 3 guys, it'd be like telling the bullpen of the Twins, okay, Juan Rincon's not going to be there, or Jesse Crane, or somebody else. It's tough. Joe Nathan would not be the closer he is if it wasn't for the setup guys.
2 down. Here's Hunter. Blasted to left center field. Long gone for Torii Hunter. And that's got to feel good for Hunter because there's a little history between him and Bobby Howry.
Yeah, they had some over the years when Bobby Howry with the Cleveland Indians. Torii getting plumped by Howry in Cleveland 3-4 years ago, and they exchanged some words, and Torii just 1 for 10 lifetime against Howry, but he got a slider that Torii had that uppercut swing and hits his 11th home run of the year, and the Twins take a 7-0 lead.
412 feet the measurement, and now here's Sierra. Ball 1. Sierra with a couple of hits and a couple of runs batted in. One and one. Reyes has shut it down in the Twins bullpen, but I don't think we're going to see Brad Radke the 8th inning. Two and one. Twins have an off day on Thursday, and so the Twins can structure things so that Radke would get an extra day, and maybe he would have a chance here to complete this shutout. We'll see. Just assumed that with Reyes warming up that they were going to bring him into the 8th inning. Right now the rotation for the Dodgers series: Silva, Liriano, and Santana. And then the off day on Thursday, Twins have a couple of different options. One coming back with Bonser for the series opener with Milwaukee, or perhaps skipping Bonser again and going with Radke to pitch the opener on Friday, keeping him on his normal 4 days of rest.
Well, Twins have already talked with Santana and Liriano going to face, the Dodgers in back-to-back nights, that they'd like to split those two lefties up. So with that off day, the Twins maybe have that opportunity to do something. We'll wait and see what happens.
That's hit a long way to center field. Pierre to the fence for the catch and the end of the inning. But Torii Hunter hitting one over the fence, adding another run, and it's 7-0 Twins.
Minnesota Twins baseball on WFTC 29 is presented by Lexus, pursuing perfection.
It's been another very good day for the Minnesota Twins. Through 7 innings, they have a 7-0 lead, trying to complete a sweep of the Chicago Cubs. Be their 4th sweep at home. And coming off a sweep last weekend against the Pittsburgh Pirates, Dennis Reyes will indeed relieve Brad Radke in the 8th.
Well, good job by Brad Radke. The best start so far as no runs allowed. First time this season for Radke. Reyes coming in to pitch the 8th. He's coming in for the 20th time. He worked in last night's ball game. Faced 2 batters, struck out both batters in that 3-0 win. Very good 1.50 ERA for Reyes.
Here's Pierre leading it off against Reyes. Half swing. Strike, and it's 0-2.
One more thing about Brad Radke. He allowed 6 hits in the first 3 innings to the Cubs. Cubs didn't take advantage of that. And Brad retired 14 of the last 15 batters he faced. 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. It ties a season high in strikeouts for Brad.
It'd be a tough play. And Reyes can't field it cleanly. Morneau kept a foot on the bag, and it was almost a great play by Morneau. Pierre was able to get across the bag just before he caught the deflected ball.
So what Reyes wanted to do right here is jump off the mound and catch it and tag the runner, but right off the tip of the glove.
Ooh, that was a close play.
Very close.
So Pierre's aboard, and here's Todd Walker.
Second hit for Pierre. Well, third hit, I'm sorry. And 2 of them infield base hits.
Swing and a miss. Twins leading comfortably, and I think they, for a lot of reasons, would like to maintain a comfortable lead. And maybe get Willie Air into the ball game. Maybe to pitch the 9th. We'll see how they decide to play it.
Well, you want to get that shutout. You know what? Brad Radke, 7 shutout innings. Reyes' job here, get a shutout 8th.
2-1. Kansas City's expanded its lead now to 3-0 over Milwaukee. They hope to get Mike Sweeney back in a few days. Two and 2.
Reyes in last night's ball game came in and faced Jock Jones and John Mayberry. Struck out both of the 2 batters he faced through 10 pitches.
Chopped past Chris Spire, played briefly with the Twins in 1984. He was acquired in the playoff stretch of 1984 to help the Twins get over the top, and he replaced Houston Jimenez as the Twins shortstop. The problem for Spire was he came to the Twins with a bum knee and couldn't play much. 3-2.
Yeah, Spire that year hit only .212 in 12 games, 33 at bats, 7 hits in 33 at bats.
Case where the Twins at that time, things were going pretty good. There's a runner going and a bouncer to second. Punto at second for the Twins, moving over from third with Rodriguez taking over at third, 1 away, and Pierre safely at second. Simpsons fans, if you want to be on TV, you can choose what episodes are on too. Go to WFTC.com and enter the My Simpsons on My 29 contest. You and your favorite episode of The Simpsons could be on My 29 this summer. So watch The Simpsons weeknights at 6 and 6:30 on My 29. Are you a Simpsons watcher?
Was years ago, not as much now.
Well, there's an episode in there that has, Darryl Strawberry, Jose Canseco, Wade Boggs, Roger Clemens, Mike Scioscia, a lot of baseball stars from 12, 15 years ago. It's one of my favorite episodes. I wonder, maybe I could enter the contest.
I think you should.
And I could be on My 29.
Didn't you want to do the weather?
I wanted to do the weather once, and nobody ever called, so I guess they didn't want me to do the weather. Haven't you ever wanted to do something like that? Just do something different just once, just to say that you did it?
I'm doing this.
You're in your 11th year doing it. You did it once and kept coming back. 1-1 to lead. 2-1.
I just love being around the game. For me, I mean, you get an opportunity to watch the game, to talk about the game, to try to analyze what's going on with these players during good times, bad times. For me, it's the greatest game in the world to watch. And you get good seats at times.
Strike in the outside corner, 2-2. Well, see, now I know you've had a great career, obviously, but you were able to be in a movie. You've been in a what? One
Yes.
movie or two movies?
A couple movies.
Right.
One, what? Forget right now what it was. Such a good movie.
You don't remember what movies you were in?
Let me think here.
You were in with Mark Grace.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What was that?
That was with Jim Belushi.
And the name of the movie
Yeah,
was?
I'm thinking about it right now. I need some help here, guys. Everybody here saw the movie?
Wow.
Taking Care of Business.
That was the name of it?
Yes.
And
that
you had
was
to have
it.
somebody in the truck give you the name of the movie.
Yes, I appreciate that. Well, I played a big role. You know, I had to give up a home run to Mark Grace.
2 down. We'll get Mevin to the plate.
Yeah, at the time I was with the Angels and they were filming out in Anaheim Stadium, and they said, you know, who could we get to give Mark Grace up a home run? And they thought of me right away. I don't know why. Reyes picks up a strikeout, his first, the second out of the inning.
And you were in another movie too.
Yeah, we can't talk about that. That was...
You remember the name of that one?
I'm still getting feedback from that one.
Well, see, that's something I'd like to do. I'd like to be able to plunk down my $7, $8, whatever, and I'd like to go into a movie theater and be in a movie. I haven't had that opportunity.
You didn't have the opportunity to be a weatherman. What makes you think you're going to be in a movie?
Probably never happened. It just would be fun. Another scoreless inning. Reyes gets the job done in the 8th.
See what's different between him and I. His beard is dark.
His cheeks aren't as rosy either.
You are hereby circled from Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Lou Ford against Ryan Dempster, who comes out of the Chicago bullpen.
Dempster in his 3rd season with the Cubs, a fastball in the low 90s, curveball, slider, and a changeup. Dempster making his 32nd appearance.
2-0. It'll be Ford, Bartlett, and Rodriguez.
And Willie Ayers starting to loosen up for the Twins. He may get the 9th.
Popped up near the Twins dugout and out of play.
Dempster, the closer for the Cubs last year, 33 saves, the 5-3 record, 3.13 ERA and 63 relief appearances.
Driven foul on the right field line.
Dempster, the closer again this year. He just has not had that many opportunities. 11 saves for Dempster. The Cubs have only 12 saves on the year.
Four gone on strikes, one away in the eighth. That'll bring up Jason Bartlett. There's Willie Ayers' mother, who got to see Scott pitch last night, and there's a pretty good chance Willie's going to get in the ninth inning.
It's a big at bat right here for Jason Bartlett. Has that 10-game hitting streak on the line. 0 for 3 so far.
One and 0. And now 1-1.
Dempster has pitched for the Marlins, the Reds, and now the Cubs at the major league level. First coming up with the Marlins back in 1998.
2-1. Chopper to third, and Ramirez backpedals and just barely got Bartlett. Close play, and it might be that Bartlett's hitting streak is over.
Well, he hustled down that line, just missed it by maybe a half a step. Ramirez plays back on this ball to get the good hop, but the good strong throw on a very close play at first base. Retires Bartlett for the second out.
Luis Rodriguez in his first plate appearance. One strike.
Rodriguez, a switch hitter, hitting .214 overall as a left-handed hitter, .224.
Driving it to deep right field. Home run for Luis Rodriguez.
Well, Rodriguez hitting his second home run of the year. His first one coming in Toronto back on April 5th.
That ball a long way over the wall and right.
Well, he sure did get a fastball up, and Rodriguez almost left his shoes right there. Tie your shoes a little tighter. It's the second home run of the ball game for the Twins. Torii Hunter hit one off Bobby Howery last inning.
Punto takes a strike. .392 feet the measurement for Rodriguez. Second left-handed home run. The other one went to the opposite field in Toronto. Punto strikes out to end the inning. Twins get another run. 8 innings worth of at-bats, 8 runs, and Willie Ayers will get a chance to finish off the series. highlights. We'll look at the Chevy game reset, and I'm reminded of what Casey Stengel's quote in 1962, "Can't anybody here play this game?" It's been a bad day for the Chicago Cubs.
Well, Brad Radke, 7 shutout innings. Torii Hunter hitting a 2-run home run, or excuse me, a solo home run. Had a couple hits in today's ball game, and Ruben Sierra getting some at bats, making the most out of a couple hits.
Strike one from Willie Air to Aramis Ramirez.
Well, Willie Air coming in for the 21st time of the year. 14 strikeouts, 12 walks in 25 2/3 innings.
To left center field. Ford over. Loses it in the lights. I think he caught it. Yep, one away. I don't know if he caught it or it caught him, but it's an out.
Well, nice running catch right there, Lou Ford. These balls are tough because sometimes they get caught in the lights. Lou Ford keeps an eye on it and then makes a basket-like catch. And this performance by Willie Air, that's a lot for his brother right there, Scott.
Scott told me this morning that if Willie got into the game, he was going to go to the bullpen and warm up. Just whether he got the orders to do so from Dusty Baker or not. But of course the Twins' chances of hitting here in the bottom of the 9th aren't very good. At least we hope not. 1-1.
And if I'm Willie Air, I mean, I'm pitching for my older brother right here. I'm pretty nervous because, I want to impress my older brother.
By all accounts, Scott Air was following the progress of the Twins roster through spring training closer than Willie was. Every time the Twins would make some cuts out of the spring training roster, Scott would see if Willie had made the cut and finally told his brother, "Hey, look, go talk to your pitching coach and see if you made the club. I only count 11 pitchers." And then Willie got the word that after toiling in the minor leagues all those years, yeah, he was a major league pitcher. 3-2.
A good sink on that fastball right there. Willie with that sinking fastball, little cut fastball, curveball, and a changeup.
Up the middle and a base hit.
Well, Jock Jones gets his second hit of the ball game. A double in his first at bat against Brad Radke in the second. And the Cubs overall, they get their 9th hit of the ball game.
Here's Matt Merton. Merton with a single his first time up. Infield hit. Bouncer to second. Punto to Bartlett. And Merton again showing that good speed out of the box. Keeps the game alive.
Well, Nick Punto had a little trouble with the exchange, getting that flip over to Bartlett and allowed Burton a couple, maybe one giant step, and he beat that out to stay out of the double play.
And now Nathy Perez. Perez hitless. Strike one.
Twins winning the first game here on Friday night 7-2. Last night 3-0. Have an opportunity here to go back-to-back shutouts against the Cubs.
Cubs Friday night got a home run from Nevin. They actually led 1-0 in that game before the Twins took control of the game.
Only one of the 2 runs scored by the Cubs on Friday night was earned. So the Twins pitching staff has been on fire in this 3-game series.
Hoping to win for the 14th time in 16 games. And a liner to right field, a base hit. Merton around second on his way to third, and the game alive for the Cubs.
Perez getting a fastball up, lining it over the head of Justin Morneau. He gets his first hit of the ball game.
Blanco will hit.
Take a look at the location. Fastball about a little above the belt. Lined into right field. Dyer gets it back in. And runners at the corners, 2 outs.
Here's Blanco. 0 for 3. Twins in this series have cooled him off a bit. He came into this series along with Jock Jones as being the hottest hitters for the Cubs.
Yeah, Henry had a 9-game hitting streak coming into this series.
Sharply hit. Great knockdown by Punto, and a hit and a run. Blanco breaks up the shutout with an infield hit.
Well, Cub fans are happy. They did not get shut out for the second straight night or day. Henry Blanco gets his first hit, driving in his 15th run of the year. Good effort by Nick Punto. The ball hits off his glove, deflecting away. Merton scores the first run for the Cubs.
Here's Pierre. Ball 1. Cubs actually out hitting the Twins 11 to 10. With 3 hits here in the 9th inning. 1-1. It's been a dramatic turnaround for the Minnesota Twins. In Seattle, before Johan Santana won the final game of that series toward the end of that dreadful West Coast road trip, the Twins were 8 games below 500. And if they can finish off the Cubs here, they'll be 4 games above. That's a 12-game swing in 2.5 weeks. And again, the Cubs are down to their last strike.
It all goes back to starting pitching. The last starter to lose a ball game against the Orioles back on June 10th, Carlos Silva. Other than that, starters. Radke hopefully winning tonight are 9-0 since that time.
Bouncer to short. And the Twins sweep the Chicago Cubs. And Willie Air, with Mom watching, finishes off a ball game. And the Twins finished off the Cubs.
Brad Radke winning his 6th game of the year. That ERA going down for Brad Radke. Outstanding month of June so far for Brad. Brad 7 shutout innings. He allowed 7 hits, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. And Brad Radke is our Chrysler Player of the Game. Tying a season high 6 strikeouts with 7 shutout innings. The best outing so far on the year for Brad Radke.
And the Twins continue to play awesome baseball at home. Ruben Sierra, in his first start since coming off the disabled list, contributing a single that scored the first 2 runs of the ball game. And the Twins playing their best baseball of the season here in late June.
You know, and that's what you see when your team's playing good. Everybody is contributing. It's not just Joe Mauer or Justin Morneau. It's everybody getting a big hit here or there.
2 runs in the 2nd, 3 in the 3rd, single runs in the 6th, 7th, and 8th, couple of home runs. And the Twins had some fun this weekend, and their fans did too. Over 35,000 here today, and I believe the attendance over 110,000 for the 3 games. So great series for the Twins. We'll be back with more from the Metrodome in a moment.